Hey, you guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you guys are on. I would love to say hello to you. All right, you guys. Last week, we talked about y'all better recognize. So I hope you guys got some good stuff out of that. And I hope it opened your eyes to some things and that we need to be recognizing the important things in life, the things that are going to really matter. And we need to also make sure that people recognize who we are, that we're valuable, that our time is precious. Because you have to show people how to treat you sometimes. And sometimes you got to let them know you're a child of God, I'm valuable, and I need you to treat me in that same manner. Well, today, hey, Miss Pam, happy pre-Friday, almost Christmas. Today's topic, you guys, is called Closed Doors Lead to Open Windows. A lot of times when we think about doors and windows, we think about a way of entering and a way of exiting. And this is befitting for the end of the year because we're getting ready to exit, 2023. And we need to sit back and reflect on, what did we do in 2023? Are we where we want to be going into the new year? So that's what this is about. It's about closing doors and opening windows. What if we all chose to look at things differently? Just have a different perspective. A lot of times we think we know things, but until we really have our eyes open, we realize, you know what? I was looking at that all wrong, or there was more than one way to look at things. So instead of getting upset when your plans fail, or instead of getting upset and holding grudges when relationships end, instead of getting mad when you don't get that promotion on the job, instead of getting mad because God doesn't go along with your plan, instead of getting angry when your friends or your family, they let you down, what if we totally believed what God says in His Word? What if we believe that all things are working for us, even those things that we can't see? God talks about in Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good, for those that love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. So we need to change our perspective and understand that good things are going to happen sometimes and bad things are going to happen. But God promises in His Word that it's all going to work out for the good. No matter what's happening in your life, somehow God is going to use that circumstance, that situation, and He's going to turn that thing around and He's going to work it out for your good. But it's all about your perspective. And see, the enemy doesn't mind you going to church. He don't mind you reading your Bible. His job is to keep you from believing God. And we have to realize that if it doesn't open, you guys, it's not your door. Everything that somebody else has is not for you. So it's not that God is depriving you of anything. That's just not your portion. That's why it's so important to worry about yourself, focus on yourself, get your relationship right with God. Because just because He's doing this over there doesn't mean He's going to do the identical same thing for you. So that's why it's so important to you to get your connection with God so that God can give you what is only meant for you. So what can we do to begin to believe God's will in our lives so that we can change our lives, so we can change the way we think, so we can change the way we feel about disappointments or things that don't quite go our way? We have to find a foundation, you guys. Everybody needs a foundation. Everybody needs an anchor to hold on to when things aren't going so well. Everybody's great when you're on the top of the mountain. But it's when you go down in the valley is when you realize you need to have some type of foundation. You need to have some type of anchor to hold on to. And why not anchor to God? God has 10 promises in His Word that we all need to really get down in our spirit and believe and trust and believe God for it. Number one, God promises to strengthen you. You know, there are times in my life when I just felt like I couldn't go anymore. I couldn't do anymore. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was crying. I was upset. But somehow God turned things around. Somehow I got the strength to get up out of the bed and stop crying, to wash my face, to begin to strategize on what I need to do. And that was strength that I didn't have within myself. That was strength that God had to give me. And I know everybody that watches this podcast could probably tell their own story about how they felt like giving up, how they felt like throwing in the towel. But somehow God turned things around. Somehow that strength seemed like it comes out of nowhere. That's God's promise to you. When you're a child of God, He will give you supernatural strength, strength that you didn't know that you had, in order to do what you need to do to get you to the other side of whatever you're going through. So that's His first promise. He promised to strengthen you. And when you're feeling low, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling weak, that's the time to pray to God. Say, God, I need your strength. God, strengthen me. Give me what I need. You know what I got to do. You know how everybody's depending on me. Give me what I need so I can get this done. And God will give you strength. Number two, God promises to give you rest if you trust Him. You know, everything is not for you to do. You know, a lot of times we try to take on so many things, take on other people's problems, trying to help grown folks. You know, God wants you to rest. Give those people over to God. Give those things over to God. Take it out of your hands and say, God, I give it over to you, so that you can rest, so that you can go to sleep, so you can quit worrying. God promises that if you will give your burdens over to Him, He will give you rest. He will give you peace. So that's His second promise, is He's going to give you rest if you allow Him to. Number three, God promises to take care of all of your needs. You know, I've been at a time in my life where I didn't know, you know, where I was going to get this money from, where I was going to get that money from. But somehow, I can't even explain, somehow it always worked out. And that's God's promise. He's not going to let you go without what you need. And that's why it's so important, you guys, to be grateful. Because we think about the big stuff that God gives us. Think about just the breath in your body, the activity of your limbs, your mind, you know, just the intelligence that you have. Those are all given to you from God. And He promises to take care of all of your needs. Number four, God promises to answer your prayers. When your prayers are sincere, when your prayers are heartfelt, God is going to answer your prayers. What we don't like is sometimes God's answer is not the answer that we want it sometimes. But God always answers prayer. It just may not be the answer that you want, but He will respond to your prayers. Number five, like I said earlier, God promises to work everything out for your good. None of those tears you cried went to waste. None of what you've gone through has been a waste. It did something to help you become the person that you are today. He's not going to allow anything to be wasted in your life. So whatever it is, even if it's 10 years from now, He's going to work it out for your good. You know, a lot of times people look at you and they say, oh, you know, poor her, you know, I don't know, you know, God is not, you know, doing this and doing that for her. And then you look down the line later and God may save that for another time. You don't know why God is not doing what He's not doing in her life. You don't even know what God's doing. But a lot of times people are on the outside looking in and they will try to decide, you know, if you're blessed or not. Sometimes the blessing from God is just for you to have to wait, because waiting builds character. Waiting builds trust. So a lot of times the answer is not now, but you're going to get it later. Number six, God promises to be with you. You know, there's not a time in my life when I don't remember feeling God's presence. I don't even know if I knew what it was at the time. Hey, Janet, at the time when I was feeling it, There's been times when I've had to make decisions. I remember when I was young, how, people try to talk you into doing stuff that is not right. And you just get that feeling down inside of you, that feeling that says, don't you do that. You better not do that. That was God unctioning me then. And I didn't even realize it because he knew me before I really had a relationship with him. So I don't remember a time where God wasn't watching over me. I don't remember a time when a thought didn't come into my mind to say, don't go over there, go over here. And then I find out later something bad went over to the place that I didn't go to. And that was God protecting me by sending me a different direction or giving me what I like to say, I felt funny about it, so I just didn't do it. Well, a lot of times that's God trying to show you to listen to that small, still voice that's trying to help guide you in the right direction. So God promises to be with you no matter what you're going through, whether you're out of his will, God is still with you. He wants you to come back. God is with you when you're in trouble. God is with you when you're doing good. There is not a time that God is not with a child of God. We leave him, but he never leaves us. He's just waiting on us to acknowledge him and want to be back in his presence. But he's always watching and he's always protecting us, even when we're out of line, even when we're not acknowledging him the way that we should. Number 7, this goes along with promises to be with you. God also protects you. I can't think of all the things God has kept me out of just because it didn't work out for me, or maybe somebody rejected me, or maybe a door was shut in my face. And then later on, I look back on it and say, God, I thank you for not letting me be in a relationship with this person, because down the line, you see why God didn't want you in that relationship. Or thank you, God, for closing the door, because now that you're older, more mature, you realize what you were trying to do or what you were asking for was not going to be good for you. So God is always protecting us. We don't have a clue of all the things God protects us from. I think about just driving every day and how driving a car is one of the most dangerous things you can do, because not only do you have to watch out and obey the rules and keep your eyes on the road, you've got people all around you texting, talking on the phone, eating, playing with the radio or whatever they're doing. I can't tell you how many times cars have swerved into my lane and swerved out just in time to keep from hitting me head on a 2-lane road, simply because they were distracted. And it scares you and you just have to pull over for a minute. But I have to acknowledge God and say thank you for protecting me, because that person was not paying attention, and that could have been my last day. So I don't take those things for granted, because I've been in some major car wrecks and I know what it's like to have to be cut out of a car. So I know how good God is and how God protects you when you've got metal all around you and they can't open the doors. They can't get you out of the windows. They literally have to go get that machine, the jaws of life, and cut you out of your car. I've been there. So I thank God for his protection. And a lot of relationships with friends or people you want to be friends with and it just doesn't click, that's God's protection. God knows more than you can even imagine. He hears what people say when you're not around. Anybody can pretend like they like you, but God hears everything they say. He knows their heart. He knows their motives. So a lot of times when you're not connecting with somebody, that's God's protection. Or people aren't as warm to you and seem standoffish. Trust that. Allow that, and allow God to protect you, because you don't know what kind of people you're dealing with. God knows these people's spirits. He knows what's in their hearts. So just always ask God to protect you, even from yourself, because we make some stupid decisions. And I pray all the time, God, protect me from myself. Before I make a major decision that's gonna derail everything that I'm trying to do, protect me from it. Don't let it go through. Don't let my plans go through if it's going to cause me problems later on. You have to oftentimes ask God to protect you from yourself, because your flesh wants what your flesh wants, but it's not always what you need. Being single, I just tell it like it is. There are times when I want to dial the phone and have some company over here of the opposite sex. But God says that's not what you want. That's not what you told me you wanted. So a lot of times he has to distract me, or he has to get me busy so that I don't make those mistakes. And before you know it, I've forgotten all about it. So God's protection is real. And that's an anchor that you can count on. And number 8, God's promise of freedom. God gives us freedom, you guys. When you are a child of God, you can make mistakes. You are not going to be perfect ever. As long as you're breathing on this earth, you will always make mistakes. But when you are a child of God, you have the freedom to fail sometimes, because guess what? God will forgive you. God will cast those sins as far as the east is from the west, is what he says in his word, when you repent and when you turn away from those things. So you don't have to be perfect in God. God doesn't want perfect people. He just wants people with a willing heart that will accept him, that will love him. And you don't have to be perfect to be in God's house. Number 9, God's promise that nothing can separate you from him. You know, a lot of times people feel like, well, I've done too much, or God will never forgive me for that. That's not God talking. That's you talking and the enemy talking. There is nothing that God has said would separate him from you. You would have to separate yourself from God. He is not going to separate from you. You will have to denounce him and say, I don't believe in God, I hate God, all this and that. You would have to do that. He's not going to leave you because you make a mistake, or because you get in trouble, or because you end up in a bad situation. Number 10, and this is the most important promise from God, that is our foundation, that's our anchor, is that in God you have everlasting life. You know, I used to be so confused, the way it was preached, as if you made a mistake, you could go to hell. But that's not what God's word says. God's promise of everlasting life is for those who accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Period. So just know that you don't have to be perfect. You can make mistakes. Get back up, dust yourself off, try again. But you have the promise of everlasting life. And God does not go back on his words. Okay, so those are your 10 promises that can give you a foundation, that can give you an anchor, that give you strength, to make it from one level to the next, knowing that you've got somebody on your side. Because sometimes you don't have friends that are on your side. Sometimes you don't have family that are on your side. But God is a constant. God does not change. He doesn't get mood swings. He doesn't do any of that. God does not change. So he is our anchor. He is our foundation. And see, in life, we've got to learn how to close doors and walk away from some things. If you don't want your life to be the same 10 years from now, you're going to have to learn how to close some doors. And what doors do we need to close to have a better life, have a happier life? Hey, Christia, have a happier life. Well, and be more successful. So in order to achieve your breakthrough, you often have to shut many doors. It's never just one door that's a hindrance in your life. It's always many doors. And you need to learn how to shut some doors so you can just focus on one thing at a time. Because a lot of times, here are these doors that need to be shut. Number 1, the unnecessary doors. Sometimes we've got ourselves involved in so much. We say yes to everything. We say yes to everybody. We want to please everybody. Everybody's fluffing us up. Oh, girl, we need you to do this. Oh, girl, we need you to do that. This, that, and the other. That sounds good. But how are you going to focus when you've got yourself stretched so thin? I thought about that today. I was working by myself because my coworker's on vacation, and it was super busy, tremendously busy. But God kept saying, focus on one thing. I focused on one thing. I got those patients back. I took care of those patients who came for their appointment. Then I could move to the next thing. Then I didn't try to stretch myself in a bunch of different directions, because when you do that, you're getting a lesser of yourself to each part, because you need everything to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. You can't take off a little piece here, a little piece there, and expect to be successful in all areas. You have got to shut some things down. You've got to close some doors, shut down some distractions, so that you can focus on what is most important in your life. Then when you do that, then you can go to the next thing and go to the next thing. But when you're trying to stretch yourself too thin, that leads to nothing but confusion and frustration. And in life, we need to be intentional. Be intentional, because every closed door creates space for you to succeed. So when God allows a door to close, that's an opportunity for you to succeed somewhere else. Even in relationships, you guys, when God shuts the door on that relationship, or that relationship comes to an end, now you got more time to spend time with the few people in your life that really matter. Sometimes relationships are a distraction. Sometimes you need to allow God to end what he needs to end, not get upset about it, and just realize it had an expiration date. Everything in life has an expiration date. And when you shut out those unnecessary doors and close those doors, you open the door to spend time and have more time to spend on the things that really matter in your life. The second door we need to close is the door to frustration. A lot of us get frustrated easily. We get overwhelmed easily. Life is too hard when you try to solve everything by yourself. And I get it, you guys. Some of us don't have nobody else to depend on. I understand that more than y'all can even imagine. I know what it's like to have to keep things to myself and have to make a way for things, and you can't tell other people about it. And see, I grew up in a family, you guys. I always really enjoy seeing siblings that are really close, seeing parents close to their adult children, this, that, and the other. Well, I didn't have that. So a lot of things I had to keep to myself, because I didn't have the kind of family that talked to you. I have the kind of family that talks about you. And so you have to know the difference, because a lot of times I've tried to open up about things and it ended up being, conversation for everybody. It ended up being gossip for anybody. It ended up being, what they on the phone talking about. So I had to learn a long time ago, and I got frustrated. And I said, God, you're going to have to help me with this. I don't have that support from my family that I really need. And I don't always have the support from my friends that I really need. God says, you don't need that. All you need is me. And he had to help me close the door to my frustration. And he reminded me, when you get in trouble, who gets you out of it? It's not your family, and it's not your friends. It's always God. So when you close that door to frustration, it opens your eyes to letting you understand God has been taking care of you your whole life. And I think back on so many things, and sometimes I have tears rolling down my eyes. It was just me and God. It's some things that nobody knows that I even went through. It's just me and God. And I had to close those doors of frustration so I could open the door to peace. I needed peace, just knowing that if nobody else is there, God is there. And then I had to learn how to lean and depend on God. So now I know to go to God first before I go to anybody else. That's what happens when you close that door of frustration. You forget about who's not there for you, who is not supporting you, who's not helping you. You begin to forget about that, and that door opens up for you to understand that there's peace in God. There is peace in knowing that God's got your back. There's peace in knowing that no matter what you go through, God is always going to be with you, and he's always going to be sending his angels to protect you and watch over you. So when you close the door to that frustration about what you don't have, then you can start appreciating. That window of appreciation comes open for what you do have, and just knowing that God is enough. And God is enough. And so I had to learn how to maneuver as a young adult all the way up to now, because I know I don't have that family system where I can go to them and talk to them about things when something is bothering me. I've learned how to talk to God about those things. I've learned how to get in my worship. But that came from me closing the door of frustration. And y'all, I was frustrated probably all the way up to my mid-40s. Just frustrated about why I can't have a family member, why my mom can't be like this, why my sisters couldn't be like this, where I could just talk to them and tell them everything and everybody in the world not know about it. You know, get rid of that frustration, you guys. Sometimes you just don't have that, but you always have God, and God is going to be enough. He's going to be enough. The third door that we all need to close is that door to manipulation. And what I mean by that is we all have people in our lives, whether we recognize it or not, that have ulterior motives. Everybody around you is not around you for the right reason. Everybody's not around you because they love you so much. A lot of times, that's right, Christia, they can hurt you the most. A lot of times, you know, you got people around you that are attention seekers. You know, I got a bunch of attention seekers, and they exaggerate things just to get a specific response out of me. They try to control me with by my emotions, just getting me all upset and worked up, this, that, and the other. When you close the door to that, and I'm closing my door to that in 2023, it's a lot of things that ain't coming with me in 2024. And all that manipulating, that lying, that exaggerating, I'm not going to be listening to all of that in 2024. So when you shut that door and let people know they have boundaries, let people know, we're not going to do that here. You know, you open the door to God to give you discernment. You have to ask God to show you people, even people that you love. Ask him to show you their heart. Ask him to show you if they're just manipulating you. You know, every time you turn around, they got you in the middle of something. They got you worked up about something. They got you sad about something with them. Ask God to show you their heart, because sometimes misery loves company, you guys. Sometimes they just want you to be as miserable as they are. So ask God to open the door of discernment, because you're going to have to shut those people down. Limit your time around them. Shorten your responses to them. Shorten them phone calls to them. Let God show you who is trying to manipulate you. Because when God opens the door to discernment, see, by then, when he does that, you can see the tricks before you fall into the traps. And that's what I'm asking God for in my life, you know, because I'm so kind-hearted, open with everybody and loving towards everybody. But I know I have to guard my heart. You know, there's a scripture that talks about guarding your heart, because out of it flows the rivers of life, or living waters. And I think about that all the time. You know, when God is pouring into you, or when you're God's child, a lot of different types of people come around you, but everybody doesn't mean you good. So you have to guard your heart. That's where that discernment comes in, where God will show you, you know, love her, but love her from a distance. Stop talking to her so much. Stop responding to her so quick. Stop doing this, stop doing that. That's what I want to be able to hear from God, so that I can see the tricks before I fall into the traps. Number fourth door you need to close is the door to dishonesty. You stop being dishonest and stop allowing people to be dishonest with you. You know, it comes a time when you have to call stuff what it is. When you know somebody's just sitting there lying to your face, cut them folks off and say, stop. You ain't got to go no further. You can feel the lie. Y'all have all felt that when somebody's telling you that good lie. Stop the lie. Be like, stop. You ain't got to say no more. You know, let's talk another time. Stop that. Don't let people keep lying to you. And don't you be that person that's dishonest and that's lying. Close the door to that. We're all grown. There's no reason for you to have to lie to anybody about anything. Close the door to that type of behavior. Because when you close the door to that, you begin to see yourself and you see other people more clearly. When you become honest and when you do right, you can sense wrong so easily. It's almost like a person that has smoked at one time. They quit smoking. When they're around smoke, they're so sensitive to it, they can't stand smoke. See, when you get out of a certain behavior and you really out of it, you can pick up on it when you see it because you know it, you recognize it. So close the door to dishonesty and open the door so you can see yourself and see other people clearly, and open that window to that. Take accountability for your actions. You know, when you stop being dishonest, you become a more honorable person. So open the window for just being a better person and becoming a person that other people can count on. That's what happens when you shut the door to all that foolishness and all that trickery and scheming. When you stop doing that, you get real with yourself. And then you start becoming the person that you know you should be. Number 5, it's time to close the door to drama, you guys. If confusion and drama are always around you, you need to close the door. You have control over what you allow yourself to get into, what you allow yourself to be around. Make a decision in 2024 that you don't have time for a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff I just don't have time for anymore. I won't make time for. Time is so precious, you guys. You need to choose peace. Spend your time in peace. You'll be healthier. You'll be happier. A lot of those health problems will probably get better if you get away from drama. Drama is draining. Drama is like a disease, you guys. You get caught up in that stuff, confusion and stuff. It does things to your body. Close the door to drama in your life and let people know, don't bring that stuff over here to me. I'm not interested. I don't want to hear the gossip. Don't come to me if you got negativity. You have to make a stand. You have to decide that that's not what you want in your life. And when you do that, you open the window to positivity. You can start focusing on things better. You reach your goals better when you ain't got all those distractions and all those confusing thoughts going through your head. Close that door to drama and open the window to something better. And then you'll be able to get your own life in order. You know, that's one thing about dealing with drama all the time. It helps you take the focus off of your own problems that you need to be working on. So when you close the door to drama and open the window to focusing on what matters, you will notice some things about yourself that you need to get right. Okay? Number 6, this is the 6th door you need to close. Close the door to toxic people. And when I say toxic people, everybody really knows who I mean. But in case you don't, let me break it down. Those who keep you upset. If you're dealing with people that keep you on an emotional roller coaster, that person is toxic. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your sister. I don't care if it's your mom. I don't care who it is. If you're always on an emotional roller coaster, if you can never be stable in your emotions because of that person is toxic to you. They take advantage of your kindness. They're toxic. They don't return the love that you give them. Toxic. People that only want you when they need something from you. Toxic. People who bring you down to a level that you had to work so hard to climb up from, that's got you doing stuff that you used to do, that you said you would never do anymore. Those people are toxic. Get rid of them, shut the door, limit your time with them. And then open the window to freedom, to opportunity to meet the right kind of people. People who help you move forward in life, help you get to a better place in life. And then we should always remember that when God closes a door, He opens a new window in your life. And this means that never ever be disappointed because God closes a door. If you really believe that God closes a door and He opens a new window, then why get disappointed? That's when that faith has to come into play. Faith has to let you know that, you know what, it didn't work out because it wasn't supposed to. If this didn't happen for me, or if that door closed on me, that means God has something new for me to look forward to. God has a new opportunity on the horizon. God has something better. You have to change your mindset to realize things are going to happen. Everything is not going to work out the way you want it to work. But that doesn't mean it's not working according to God's plan. So we need to change our mindset and be more positive. Instead of being disappointed and sad and letting it pull us back and push us back instead of moving us forward to the next thing. Don't dwell on your past. Like I said before, there's absolutely nothing you can do to change your past. You did it. It happened to you. It's done. You can't undo it. All you can do is move forward. And then sometimes you have to cut someone out of your life to be free. I've had to cut some people that I loved out of my life because they were dragging me to a place I know God did not want me to go. And it hurt. I cried many tears because I've had to cut them loose. But I'm thankful every day because I saw the path that their life went. And if I'd have stayed with them and just went along with them, that would be me too. So I thank God for giving me the strength, because it takes strength. And that's where that faith comes from. That's where that anchor, those 10 promises comes from, because you have to build up your strength to let people go. You have to build up your strength to say goodbye sometimes, because it's not easy, because your emotions are attached to that. But a lot of times what we think is love is nothing but bondage. It's a soul tie, and we don't even realize it until we get out of it. And when we get out of it, after we've cried those tears for a little bit and moved on with our life, we most of the time look back and say, thank God, that didn't work out, because my life is so much better, than it was. And the wrong person has to leave you sometimes for God to send you the right person. And a closed door is often used to teach you a lesson. Sometimes we get too big for God. Sometimes we think we know everything, and God has to shut us down. He has to let something fail in our life for us to realize, okay, we're nothing without God. So there's no point in getting the big head and thinking that we don't need God in our life. God has a way of humbling us, and sometimes we need that. And just remember, if God is closing a door, he's trying to mold you. He's trying to shape you. He's trying to teach you how to wait. He's trying to teach you how to be obedient. He's trying to teach you to trust in him and not to lean to your own understanding. Closed doors, a lot of times, you guys, God uses them to prevent us from making a mistake. Because just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. Because a lot of things you can do and get away with it, but sometimes it's going to be to your detriment. And so God has to shut the door completely so you can't do that thing. Because sometimes, like I said before, the flesh wants what it wants. But that doesn't mean just because you can do that, that you should do that. Because sometimes the ramifications of that comes years and years down the line. And see, God can see where we can't see. So therefore, he has to try to stop us before we make that big mistake. And then sometimes you have to lose in order to win again later. Like I said before, nothing you go through in this life is ever a waste, you guys. So my final thought is, navigating through life, there will always be closed doors, closed windows, and open windows. Some doors need to be closed in order to unlock something better in your life. Don't lose heart when things don't go your way. Keep your head up. Look for the new window of opportunity that's in front of you. And just remember, God would not bring us this far just to leave us. And as we close out 2023, let's get excited. We closing a chapter in our lives, you guys. We shutting a door on 2023. Let's get excited about the windows of hope and opportunity that lie before us in 2024. I'm excited. Like I say, we don't know what God has in store for us, but If God be for us, he's more than the world is against us. And he's going to be with us, and he's going to work it out for our good. You guys, I thank you so much for all of your support in 2023. This will be our last podcast for the year. So I want to reach out to you guys and say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I will hop on and do something quick on New Year's probably. But I'll see you guys in 2024. I look forward to Sister I Got You being bigger and better than ever. And if y'all know anybody that y'all want to have on a podcast and you want me to reach out to them, send me a message. Put it on the page and let me know. And I'll be glad to reach out. Because Sister I Got You is all about seeing every woman and every man on this page be blessed. And we can't do it without each other. You guys, thank you so much. I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys in 2024. We're moving on to bigger and better. Y'all take care. Love y'all. Bye.